Mr. Kyle Wyatt, how are you doing?
Man, I couldn't be better, man. I woke up on the right side of the dirt today.
Oh, that's that's great to hear. Thank you so much for joining me.
Pleasure being here.
It has been so wild. I mean, as you know from our email correspondence, well, hang on, let me turn off the heater. It's California's version of cold right now. It's not actually cold.
I got you. It's what was 71 and you guys throw on a heater?
Yeah, I grew up with Mortal Kombat and your voice, apparently. We were doing this video when MK11 was coming out. We were just like looking up stuff and we had this gap in the video. We were like, okay, we'll follow up on this, or another channel was going to do it because we were originally going to collaborate. And then we actually started filming and then realized we didn't have this section. And I don't even know how long I spent online looking for information about like your portion. And I think several pages deep into a Google search, somehow like your SAG credits on a PDF was indexed. And I took a jab on, I either texted or emailed or both to you.
I think you emailed me right out of the blue. And I was like, oh my gosh,
We're like, 29 years right now, right? So yeah, next year will be the 30th anniversary.
God, it was probably one of my first gigs when I moved to New York. And I didn't really think anything of it because, I've done things in the past where you go in and do something and it's caged on the shelf or, edited out, cut on the floor. And man, when I had the chance to do that, I mean, seriously, looking back now, 29 years later, to see the iconic build around Mortal Kombat is just amazing.
That's a good place to start. So you were pretty young.
Well, I'll go ahead and do it. I'm 52.
Okay.
So I was born in 68. This was done in 92.
Okay, so you're early 20s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Done with college, Gigameggies, Texas A&M.
Did you want to be an actor, or were you heading out there for something else? Or
I've always wanted to perform. Growing up, I was always called the class entertainer because I would correct them if they said I was the class clown. I had no makeup in my bag. I came with the voices in my head, and I just entertained any chance I could. And making people smile and making people laugh, genuinely laugh, is what energizes my soul. And
that's great.
I have pursued that all my life. Acting in every play, being in choir, being in band. I was in theater. I did football. I did soccer. I was in Taekwondo. Man, I mean, I wanted to broaden myself while I'm here on the planet, and acting has always been my outlet. Because gotcha. God has given me a talent, and if I don't use that talent, dude, it goes away. And then if it goes away, who are you? Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Have you ever watched the show Nashville?
Yes.
There's that. I admittedly I never finished it, but in the early seasons they had that whole segment where I think it was a Pam Tillis song. It wasn't one she recorded, one she wrote for the show. It Ain't Yours to Throw Away.
Yeah.
That whole, I love that whole arc. It's like, okay, this is bigger than you. So that's
yes,
cool.
Absolutely. I mean, if you can touch one person, just one, you've done your job.
Yeah.
Totally. And when I did comedy in New York, that's exactly what I wanted to do. My stand-up killed the entire audience, which was a blessing. I mean, I went out, awesome. But touching just one is what it's about.
Makes it worth it. So, it was very purposeful. You had a history in theater and acting, and you had a passion to do it, and you did it. So did you have an agent, or how did you get the call for this gig?
Oh yeah, I had an agent. Okay, I'll give you the backstory. You've seen part of it on IMDb. If you know who David Wesley is, professional basketball player.
Okay.
He started with the Boston Celtics and then went to the Charlotte Hornets, and then I think retired with the Houston Rockets.
Okay.
Well, he and I grew up together. And you already know that Matthew McConaughey and I grew up together.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm learning that now.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No, should I just assume everybody in Texas knows each other?
No, we grew up together. We grew up together. So another channel story that we can start. I'll tell you stories about that.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, totally.
But anyway, yeah. And so when I just had enough. I was an educator. When I got out of college, I came back and taught third grade, and just for a year and a half. And I actually did it with Charles Newhouse. He was my principal, my administrator. Mm-hmm. And Charles Newhouse is Robert Newhouse's brother. Robert Newhouse played for the Cowboys years ago. And so, I mean, everybody does this, this Kevin Bacon 6 degrees or whatever. Kevin Bacon. I think somebody one day is going to do 6 degrees of Kyle Wyatt.
Yeah.
Because
sounds like it.
Wherever I go, my kids say, everybody. I mean, you've met everybody. But anyway, so David Wesley, his brother, Donald, we all grew up together in Longview. Okay. He and I just decided to move to New York. We just wanted to pursue our acting career. Mm-hmm. And so I got rid of the job. I was living in a condo in Longview, and I told everybody, I said, come and grab everything that you want. I packed the bags that I could carry on the plane. I mean, I left everything. Mm-hmm. Couches, TV, ficus trees, all the fixings in the house. Just left the key, and said, take what you want. Lived on a subway for 3 days, before I found a place to live.
Oh, wow.
Got an agent. And I mean, living on the subway for 3 days, that's taking a bite out of the apple. You know what I'm saying?
Especially in the 90s.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And got an agent, ended up, I think one of my first gigs was a commercial for Arista Records. I don't know if they're still around. It was for Whitney Houston. She was being introduced at that time. And that took place in Central Park. I've gone through my Google Drive and I've uncovered a bunch of these pictures and all that stuff. One day I'll probably put them out and share it with everybody. But got this agent. She booked me this gig. I think it was Beth Melski. And we showed up downtown Wall Street. And golly, there was tons of people. If you've seen the original video, mm-hmm. you'll see just tons of people running everywhere. They had this crane with the camera that did most of the pin shotting, and then they did B-roll of everybody. But I remember that was my first, step into stardom and whatever. And hey, look, 29 years later, a game changer.
Yeah, that's wild. So it's cool. I want to explain to anybody watching that is like my niece or like probably your kids that don't know how stuff worked in the 90s for film. They couldn't CG a bunch of extras in. So right. It's wild. I even knew that, but not until you just described it. I didn't think like, wow, that whole horde of kids, like that was real.
Absolutely.
That's crazy because they don't, and it's funny you said like it was actually outdoors because the way they like angled everything and filtered stuff, like it looks surreal,
Yeah.
Like, it almost looks like it was like a built set or something.
Yeah. I mean, there were tons of extras that day. Mm-hmm. And I think that they were getting $50 for that whole deal. Well, that whole day, 8 hours, I think.
Turns out some things don't change then.
Yeah, right.
I don't do extra work, but I have a lot of friends that do, and that's right about the same.
Right.
So how'd you get picked out of the crowd, or did you know before going in that you were going to be the mob leader?
I did not know. I mean, we were out, doing the oh, my son's just coming in.
Oh.
Hey, can you go that way? Oh, you want to give me a hug? This is my boy. Hey, go on out, baby.
I'm hungry.
I'll talk to you in a minute. I'll talk to you in a second. Anyway, we were all out placed, you know, in this shot, and we were all saying, Mortal Kombat. Everybody was supposed to yell up toward the camera.
Okay.
And I think the director pulled me aside and said, "Hey, I want you to stand over there." I was thinking, okay, maybe I'm gonna be put in the shot somewhere, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You know, because FaceTime is money.
Yeah.
And so he ended up saying, "No, I want you, after everybody runs out, you know, I want you to find your way through the crowd, and then we'll kind of separate it if you've seen the original."
Mm-hmm.
And then the yell of Mortal Kombat. You know, I guess he saw what I was doing, and I gave him all, and that is history.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
man. And it sounded like it came from like your soul, you know, like.
Oh, it was because I'm thinking they're getting $50. I better get more than that. And
Yeah.
I better make it sound good.
That is like a big city, like New York, LA kind of things. Like if I do better, maybe I'll get paid more.
Absolutely.
So they took your audio from the shot. Did they ADR later or something, or it was all?
Oh yeah. It's an iconic cry that will probably live forever. I mean, 29 years later, here we are doing this.
Yeah. So and do you know if that's the sample they use like later on in the commercial when it was like deeper?
It is.
And then
it is.
And in turn, do you know if that's the same one in the song?
It is.
Oh, wow. Okay. I just want, that's what I got from our correspondence, but I just want to have it on camera. What you think it is. Anybody watching?
It is.
Because we had some people in the comments that had all kinds of other theories. Random stuff like, I went to go see the band in concert, which doesn't exist. It's Lords of Acid's alternate band. And some people said Ed Boon. I think when they think Ed Boon screaming it, they're probably mistaking it for Scorpions Get Over Here, because I know that was iconic. I rarely get starstruck, but like I knew your voice from when I was way too young to be playing Mortal Kombat. But it's cool. Like man, I'm like at a loss for words. That's amazing.
I tell my kids, just in the Bible, it says, Jesus said, "You will know me by the sound of my voice." And having you say, "I knew your voice," even when you were a kid, you know, I mean, that humbles me, you know.
And it had a positive effect on me, at least, because I know at the time there was a lot of controversy about that being like the most realistic bloody game ever, which is now kind of laughable thinking where 11 went. But for me, I felt like it, not that I would have become like violent necessarily or anything, but like it had a place, the game and the lore gave me a place like focus any kind of like aggression that I had as a kid, you know, because teenagers, like I just have so many feelings. I could be Liu Kang or, Sub-Zero Katana for like an hour and get it out, you know.
You have two voices that come from Mortal Kombat that stays in everybody's mind. One voice is mine, Mortal Kombat. That's what gets them all together. And the second voice is, finish him.
Yeah. So that's a good question too, and let me know if I'm stepping over any boundaries. But like, so I think we were talking off camera, but you'd said that you're ordained pastor. So is my brother, and you have a slogan that you have yourself. It's on your shirt. It's awesome.
Never stop bragging on God.
How do you reconcile kind of like the nature of like the Mortal Kombat kind of culture and religion? For me, it doesn't seem like, especially now that I'm older, it doesn't seem like it would conflict at all, you know. But I know I've lived everywhere from Central Indiana to the East Coast to the West Coast. So I feel like I have a wide gamut of friends and acquaintances. Like a friend of mine hit me up about something. He's like, "Did you see my post about something?" I was like, "No, I didn't see it." He's like, "You probably have me blocked." I was like, "Listen, dude, between Indiana, East Coast, and LA, if I block people I disagreed with, I just wouldn't have any friends." So I don't think it's that much of a conflict. But I was wondering, like, do you ever get that brought up, like being in the ministry and also kind of like, well, not just kind of being the voice to the
Not
game
at all,
that created.
man. Let me tell you something. It's part of my testimony. because I show where I was, and then I show what I went through to where I'm at now, and back in that time, there were a lot of angry parents towards this game because of the violence and the gore. My dad was a pastor, so we were very limited in what we could do and whatever. So this is going to lead up to me saying I was the black sheep of the family, so to say. I'm the baby of 5 kids.
Wow.
So I was the very first child in the family that ended up with a tattoo. And I hid it from my family for 10 years before they found out. Yeah. So, there was that, I got to do what I got to do for a job. I didn't really care at that time what it was entailing, what it was involved in. I didn't know the backstory. All I got was the sides, and then to go in and read. And then when I saw it come out, I was hearing the backlash from the parents and this and that, and whatever. And I was like, hey, I don't care. I got paid, Yeah. Right. But years and years later, I'm able to use that as part of my testimony, because there's a lot of kids out there that I'm really trying to reach, and I can use that backstory and say, I was the one that said, Mortal Kombat, and I'm like, no way. I said, go look it up, Google it.
That's so cool. Would you like to share any of that testimony then?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
You mentioned on the phone it was a little bit of a wild story. Totally open to hear. Absolutely.
I grew up in a Christian home. My dad was military, and it was a tough life, tough love. And there was a time that I and this is when I say, sometimes when I'm talking about my testimony, I say, religion was shoved down my throat so hard that all I could do was show up and regurgitate it. That's all I could do. It was a involuntary, reaction to what was being given to me. I ran away. I moved to New York. I separated myself from my family. I didn't want the condemnation. I didn't want the phone calls. What are you doing? What's happening? How's your spiritual life? Have you talked to God lately? I had totally run. Got to New York, started doing all these gigs, started doing these commercials and voiceovers, and character acting and cartoons, and got involved in the drug scene. Now we can talk off camera about who got me into the drug scene.
Okay. Yeah.
They're still acting today.
Okay. Well, we won't call anybody out right now.
No, I won't. But went through that, heavily addicted to cocaine. And my life just started spiraling. But I always remembered that verse. Train up a child in the way that he should go. And when he becomes a man, not just a man because he has hair on his body, but when he becomes a man, he will not depart from it. That always stayed strong with me. And I think that's what kept me going. And I think that's what kept me alive. Went through that, and there was a time where I just said, I have to leave New York. Mm-hmm. I said, I have to go home, back to Texas, like an old train that just needed to go back into its, port, and it needs to be fixed up and redone. And everything needs to go through and change. And that's exactly what happened. I read a book called As a Man Thinketh. It was written by James Allen back in the 1800s.
Okay.
And one part of that book really stood out to me. It said, man is where he is because he wants to be.
Mm.
Now, I co-authored a book years ago with Jim Weedman. It's called Manual for Mankind. It deals with inner child development work. And I used portions of that book of James Allen. Man is where he is because he wants to be. And I added on to that. No longer should we blame our circumstances around us. We blame our finances. We blame our geographical region of where we live. We blame the people that raised us. We blame all the economic things that are happening around us. And saying, I can't become that because of all of this. Mm-hmm. That's wrong. When you change your mindset and look at you as an individual, a holy, sovereign individual, you can do anything you want to do. And I say this to my buddies. You could be on the island of Tahiti tomorrow, throwing $100 bills in the wind. If you wanted to, you could make it happen. Stop blaming everything around you. Look at you, change your mindset, and become who you want to be. And since then, I got back into church. My dad never stopped believing in me. My mom was it was my mom's prayers and her cries that brought me back from New York. And I give her major props for that.
That's beautiful.
I started doing exactly what I was called to do. I'm still acting. I'm still doing side projects. If you guys haven't been to my TikTok channel, Ruffian20, RUFFIAN20. You need some giggles, you need some laughs, you need to be brought up, you need to be encouraged. Visit that channel.
Yeah, we'll link that in the description. I was going to say, was Tahiti where you sent me the TikTok from? Where was that? It was somewhere tropical.
St. Croix.
St. Croix.
Yeah. I'm working with Homeland Security right now. That is my main paying job. Okay. And they deployed me last February to St. Croix, United States Virgin Islands.
Gotcha.
Before that, I was working in Missouri. Okay. And I don't know whether I told you, Rod, but around December of last year, my family drove up from Texas and came and spent Christmas with me. And then shortly after that, I felt like I was getting the flu. Called my bride and she said, get to the clinic. Went to the clinic. They diagnosed me with influenza A. Now there is influenza A and influenza B. Influenza B is when you got all the drainage and all the crap and all that stuff. Influenza A is when you just ache. You just have all that, but not all the drainage. And so they gave me 5 days of Tamiflu. I went home to my hotel in Missouri where I was working, and I started taking those. It started getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. I was sweating, fever, couldn't eat, couldn't drink. I was losing weight. On the 6th day, I found myself in front of a fireplace with all the covers over me, and I couldn't get warm. I was shaking uncontrollably. I mean, I was just my whole body. And I called my bride, and she said, "Get to the hospital now." Well, I went back to the clinic. And they said, "Can you drive? Are you able to drive to the hospital now?" And I said, "If you give me the coordinates." I was so weak. Went into the hospital. They threw me on a gurney, ripped open my shirt, put in a main line into my carotid artery, down into my neck, sewed it into my neck, and wheeled me into the ER. And I'm going, "What's going on? What's happening?" And they said, "All of your internal organs are shutting down." And I'm thinking, and so in and out of that, the doctor came. When I came to, the doctor came and said, "Well, we lost you 3 times in the ER."
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm thinking, wow. And he said, "You need your bride here. You need your wife here. You need to call her. This is very important." And I'm thinking, At that moment, it was like shook.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting still and I'm thinking, why did she need to be here? So she can identify the body and fly it home?
Yeah.
This is what's going through my head. And shortly after that, probably 30 minutes to an hour, they sent a priest in to give me my last rites.
Oh, man.
Now that really got me.
Yeah.
Kyle Wyatt has never been afraid of anything or anyone. But at that time, I placed my entire self in a box of fear.
Mm-hmm.
Guys compartmentalize things. And I placed my entire existence in that box called fear. I've never done that. I was lonely. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. And then I remember at that moment, I'm laying there in that bed with all these tubes and everything coming out of me and all the beep, 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 boop, boop, boop behind me. I heard this faint whisper in my ear, and I know it was my Father God. He said, I am not going to take you today, son. You have too much to do for my kingdom. I felt the warmth come over me, the peace come over me. And I closed my eyes and I visualized him standing as tall as he was, going through a jungle with a machete. And he kept saying, stay close to me, son. Stay close to me, son. We were getting through all this stuff. He's saying, stay close to me, son.
Yeah.
And there was no fear. I had no anxiety. I wasn't thinking about past regret. I was just thinking, God saved me for a reason.
Yeah.
And I'm here to say, never stop bragging on God.
And there's goes back to the slogan. Now I understand.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's awesome, man.
And that's why I've got it on my arm too.
Yeah, you have the tats.
Yeah, I got that. Let's see here. You see that?
Kind of see there, yeah.
Never stop bragging on God.
That's a beautiful story. I kind of relate a little bit because years ago I was in the ER for an accident with some stairs. Won't even go into that. But it ended up not being as serious as like what you went through because you were actually sick. They didn't tell me at the time, but they were just being like precautious. They just strapped you down, and stuff. And I didn't know if I could move because I wasn't given the opportunity to for several hours. And so in that time, it was weird being alone and like where your head goes because it can't go anywhere else, So that was like wild. They went through, and that they lost you a couple of times. Like you're like the real life version of these game characters. You just keep getting back up after getting your head chopped off,
But let me tell you something. I never heard the word finish him.
No, yeah, there you go. That's somebody else's voice.
God said keep him. God said keep him. Come on now.
So how long were you in New York then?
I was there 6.5 years. I lived in Manhattan for a year. I actually rented an apartment. I was subleasing an apartment, if you know what that is. Somebody that's leasing an apartment, and then they end up going somewhere, but so they sublease it.
Yeah.
I sublet. I came in, and I was on the Upper West Side, and I could look out my window right to the left. I was like maybe a block away from the Dakota where John Lennon was shot.
Oh, man.
So talk about the 6 degrees of Kyle Wyatt. Yeah. I've got stories.
You were just in the thick of it then. That's insane.
Right?
I mean, it's so cool that, because I know a lot of, I don't want to say just Christians, but that's my experience because I grew up in church, but just religious stories in general. People often kind of like try to like erase the past or even not accept it as part of themselves. It's like I will vouch for anybody that's watching in our correspondence. Kyle's very proud of his Mortal Kombat history. And that's awesome. It's good to know too, because like, you never know, especially as a kid, like with this YouTube series, I've met several of my childhood heroes who I didn't know were my heroes. So far, knock on wood, no one's ruined anything for me, Right. That's just cool. Like you even though there was like a dark side, the core of your passion, you jumped into the thick of it, and your first gig out there, you got picked out of a crowd because the director saw. You know what
that's called, Rod? That's called uncommon favor. And that's something my dad shared with me years ago. And that's what I pray every day on myself and my family. God, give me uncommon favor with you and with man. And so when I'm out with my daughters, or my son, I'm 52 with a 5-year-old. Come pray for me. Y'all come pray me.
I have a feeling my father prays for the same thing for me, because he's out in Indiana and his son's out in LA, especially during COVID times.
Absolutely. Do you know this guy? I've got to hide his number.
David Garrett. I'm not familiar. I don't think.
David Garrett. I grew up with him. He wrote, what was the movie with Chris Kattan, where he said, "You want some Girl Scout cookies?"
Corky Romano.
There it is. Being around all these people and having stories, and it fuels me, and it keeps me grounded. It keeps me in the game. Mm-hmm. You know, it's neat that Mortal Kombat is so hot right now, mm-hmm. and it's on it's like a roller coaster. This whole thing is like a roller coaster, you know, 29 years into it, and we're doing this. I mean, what an honor it is for you to reach out to me and say, "Dude, give me your story." I mean, I've told it to people around me, but for people to hear it now, I think it's going to bless some folks and hopefully, you know, give them some good insight on direction of where to go and what to do.
Yeah, thank you for sharing the story too. It's funny. So I kind of recently got back into Mortal Kombat when Mortal Kombat 11 came out, because in the middle of life happened. I was in college, started my career, all this stuff, you know, so video games kind of fell by the wayside. Have you played any of the games since the 90s, or?
I think I've maybe picked up one game.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Haven't. But you know what? When my kids get on it or do whatever, Mom, that's Daddy.
Yeah.
And then my daughter has to jump in and say, "A long time ago when he was skinny."
Oh God. You're like, you're grounded.
Oh, right? I just do this.
Yeah.
And they know Daddy's look. It's like this. And you mentioned you're still acting. I know you're busy because in the before pandemic times, you were hopping all around. We missed you a couple times here in LA because you were running around stuff too. Is there anything like you'd want to like highlight or show anybody, or because I think you have a reel up somewhere? Not yet. Yeah, I do, but I don't want to talk about what I've recently done, because we don't know if it's, you know. You don't want to jinx something until you get all the money back in.
Yeah.
So
yeah, so I completely understand.
You know that.
So before moving to LA, I know that there's fake people, but I feel a little bit more empathy for people that are actually trying and not fake, because people that from like Indiana and the East Coast, they'll ask me like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "I can't really talk about it." And that seems like my answer every time. Is I can't really talk about it. There's something secret or blah blah. And I know it sounds like really pretentious. Because that's what I used to think when my friends in LA would say that. I'm like, nope, you're just not allowed to talk about anything, you know?
Right.
Until it's passed or it's happened, or you might not even know, you know? So I get that, but we'll be keeping in touch about that.
I'm staying live on TikTok, man. I mean, my bride showed me that app. I'd never seen it before. And I was at the top of a mountain in St. Croix, United States Virgin Islands. And I was there by myself in a 3,400 square foot house. 4 bedrooms and a pool and a deck and a view. And I was working ROR, which is record of residence. That's government talk. And just, it was quiet. I was there by myself. And then when she introduced me to this TikTok app, I was like, oh, it's on. It's my outlet. Here we go.
If it makes it feel any better, you were way more versed in TikTok than I am. I'm still trying to catch up. And like, I look at it, I'm like, I think I have it figured out. And then something changes with it, you know, stuff. And I have friends that do it full time, and everybody makes fun of me. It's like I'm the old guy in the group. I'm like, back in my day, we just had YouTube. Yeah.
I remember a story years ago. I don't know where it was, but it was like, back in my day, we didn't have that PlayStation or Nintendo or whatever you call it. Well, back in my day, for entertainment, we sat out in the main square, watched the town drunk play with himself. Now that was entertainment.
Yeah, I know. I think my niece thought I was lying to her when I told her I'm older than Google. Because like, it's funny because Google's not that old in, you know, as far as like history goes.
Dude, I'm older than cell phones.
Yeah. That's insane. But I was like, but like, you know, we don't know the world now without like search engines, you know. So they're like, what is going on? I asked the internet if they had any questions for you. So if you don't mind, I'll go through a few of those before we get the questions off the. There we go.
Hey, Mortal Kombat!
You just made the 12-year-old me like dream come true.
Did they give you goosebumps?
Yeah. A year ago, I did a video, and I'm just now editing it with two of my childhood friends that I actually hadn't kept in touch with in like 25 years. We were the Mortal Kombat crew. I had a Mortal Kombat birthday party. They came, you know, we had all like little janky costumes and stuff. So I asked them first what they'd want to ask you. And my buddy Jason says, how does it feel to go down in history and remembered for yelling 2 words? And what is it like what was it like at the height of its popularity in the mid 90s to be the voice of the infamous Mortal Kombat screen? Or was it different because it wasn't really out in the public eye that you were the voice? How does it feel now that the internet's kind of discovering that's you?
Well, back then, I mean, saying 2 words was a big fat paycheck for me. So that was pretty cool. As far as what I felt like, didn't really know. All I had was a beeper.
Yeah.
I didn't have cell phones really. I think that they were out, but you know, I couldn't afford one at that time when I was a struggling actor, so I couldn't tell anybody. But I mean, I was like, you know, hey, I got a gig, I got paid, and whatever. Yeah. Never knew that Mortal Kombat would become this big. Now that the internet is out, every piece of information is out there, and it's alive again. I'm ecstatic. I get goosebumps.
That's awesome. This is more of I'm guessing a funny question. Like, who do you think you're screaming for? Was it a warning, an announcement? Was it for Sub-Zero?
It was a warning.
The youth are coming.
It was a warning. There you go. We are here. Mortal Kombat. And that's what trajected the entire vision of this project. I mean, you could psychologically really look at that and say, why were those words used? And why were they used so dramatically and from a young individual and not an older individual? You know, so it was for us, the youth at that time. We're coming. Yeah. And I think it was a warning to the parents. Watch out, it's going to be bloody. Yeah.
That's fair enough. This was more of a comment. Someone on YouTube said, learning all this made me cry because the scream of Mortal Kombat is technically the most recognizable jingle from the 90s.
Wow, yeah.
2 words.
Yeah. Yeah, I did a deal. It was Oprah Winfrey's "Where Are They Now" or whatever, and I think that was talked about. I think they also talked about my commercials that I did, the radio commercials that I did back in the late '80s. Do you remember the Monster Truck Rally commercials?
Oh yeah,
that was me.
Oh really?
Monster trucks here at Hershey Memorial Coliseum, where you'll see Bigfoot battle Goliath. There you'll also see the fire-breathing dragon. Be there, be there, be there.
You get a little bit of reverb in the studio, and you can really beef that thing up.
Monster trucks here at Hershey Memorial Coliseum, where you'll see Bigfoot battle Goliath. There you'll also see the fire-breathing dragon. Be there, be there, be there.
It just blown my mind because like that was like every Sunday.
That's right.
In between cartoons, I think my parents saw that and they were like, "We probably won't go to that thing with the fire and the trucks running over cars."
Right.
So I never got to go.
I know they had several actors, voice guys that were doing that radio and whatever, but I know that mine was played a lot at that, you know, at that time on TV, that's radio, cool. And the theaters, arenas.
That's incredible. My friend Jen asked, what was the prep? Did you practice from the mirror? Did you feel it was like an epic montage?
No. Like I said, it was just a small gig. We're going to just go and run and be crazy and be mob-like. And then he said, okay, it's so funny. The director, was like, okay, let's try this. All right, well, let's try this. Mm-hmm. I mean, we had sites that were given to us by our agent. We had to just go through them, and then we could, but then, you get on set and the director just goes, oh, let's do this. Oh, let's do this. Oh, let's try this. And we're thinking, okay, I'm here. Let's do it. Let's shine. Didn't practice, didn't look in the mirror, didn't really know what I was doing. But when I got in front of the director and he saw me, that's when it goes back to my childhood. I would be playing, doing. But when my dad walked into the room or walked close by and he was watching me, that's when I would perk up and shine to my best. And it was, it's been like that my entire acting career. I'm being put on the spot. They're looking at me. I don't want them to judge me wrongly. I want to give them the best. I want to give them their money's worth. And 29 years later, here we go. I wish I was getting royalties off all this.
I was going to ask,
Negative?
How did that work?
No, zero, nada.
I'm guessing it's part of the contract that it was just like a buyout at the beginning.
It was a buyout. Yeah. I don't even know how much I made on that. I know I made more than the other guys that were running around because I was featured. But yeah.
Huh. But
I ended up, I wasn't SAG at that time. I ended up getting my SAG card being on the movie Carlito's Way with Al Pacino.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
Penelope Ann Miller. Yeah.
Well, I need to do some more homework. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's awesome. When I got the SAG card.
That's awesome. I don't even know if I'll put this in the video, but just between me and you, I've had this idea and I've been talking to some like legal friends about it and stuff, because you're not getting royalties for that. There's other, I don't want to call them out, but like Ron Wasserman and some other writers in that time period, they were work for hire. So even they were composing, credits went to other people. But now thanks to the internet, people are finding out. So I had this idea of like,
I think you're onto something.
So
Mortal Kombat.
that covers something else. A few people in here asked if you could scream it again, and we have a few good examples here.
just did.
You also answered this, but I want to give him a shout out. My buddy Andy, a voiceover actor, he asked what other phrases you're good at screaming, and we have the monster truck rally,
right?
and all these other things I'm learning that you acted in.
I do character voices and stuff. I mean, I entertain the kids with Mater. Say, listen, we need to go out there and do some tractor tipping. She likes me for my body.
That's awesome, because that was the second part of his question. Could you do something less violent?
Oh, yeah, there it is. So there I was, sitting in my neighbor's tub, shaving my sister's back. Well, it had to be done.
Byron asked, what's your favorite fatality? But I don't know, you said you didn't play too much, so I don't know if you have one.
I remember the guy that ripped the head off and the whole vertebrae, so the spine was just dangling.
Yeah, that's Sub-Zero.
Finish him.
I think,
and I have that voice in my head from this last snowstorm that we had in March. If you guys go to my TikTok page, Ruffian20, RUFFIAN20, I had that voice in my head. Autobots, roll out.
That's amazing. You're a dead ringer as well. So do you do a lot of voice acting now?
I do some, yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
There's a lot of people ask the same questions, like how many times you had to yell it, or I guess maybe did you have to do multiple takes?
Oh my gosh, yes. Back to one. That's what we heard from the director. Back to one. That means go back to position one. And everybody reset. Back to one. That's all I heard. And then by the end of that day, my gosh, I think I went to the Blarney Stone and had a couple of shots.
Yeah, it's like this is the beginning of my drinking problems. I had to rehydrate.
Yes, to help my throat. Sorry, you look kind of cute in those glasses.
Kendra asks, if you were a character, what would your fatality be?
What would my fatality be?
Yeah.
How do I answer that? I mean, if I was a character, I couldn't jump into that game because I was opposed to it by yelling Mortal Kombat to begin with. You know?
Yeah.
It's a, what do you call it?
It'd be like too like meta, because
it just this phase of the world and this phase of the world. I'm trying to get in, but I can't. I couldn't do it.
So your fatality technically would be like breaking the universe because it's not supposed to coexist like that.
Absolutely.
Did they have you try other screams that weren't as guttural? Like, did you have to do variations, or was it always just like 1,000%?
Oh no. I think one of the first ones I did was Mortal Kombat. They were like, no. You know, Mortal Kombat. And then they just said, you have just been hit in the gut, seriously, with every problem of the world. Let me hear what's happening inside your soul.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat. And I think
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, you can feel it, and I'm so thankful. I'll have to go back and find that forum post that suggested like, oh, it was probably that kid at the beginning, and then they just pitched him. And then we saw in the video, like we tried it, and we're like, oh crap! Like we can tell. I think that maybe they used a different take for the pitch down one, but like once we pitched you down, like that's the same voice, you know. So, and also Justin from Cinemassacre, if you're watching, he actually asked me, he's like, can you verify this yet? Like that's what we're planning to do on the follow-up video, but then COVID happened. So I'm glad we could verify to Justin. I'll have to introduce you to those guys too. The Angry Video Game Nerd.
Okay, good.
Real great guys.
I can't wait. Seriously.
Because they connected me with the managers for Lords of Acid / Immortals.
Nice.
So hopefully we'll be doing something with those guys too. Maybe we can get the band back together.
Absolutely. Let's rock out, baby.
Let's see. And then last question.
I have to explain this before we get off of this thing. I'm not exiting, but people are saying, where is he at?
Yeah.
What is going on here? Okay. I'm building a home right now. We close on the house tomorrow. And this is a makeshift garage apartment that I'm living in, have been living in since February. Mm-hmm. Praise God, I have a place from my in-laws. Now, the in-laws' house is over there, big, huge house. But I walked through the backyard and the garden to get to this place here. They created this place here for my mother-in-law's parents who were in hospice, and they ended up dying here. But glad to have a place. This is where I'm at right now. Next time when we do the deal, I'll be inside my new house and I'll be showing you everything. I will be doing like, here my crib. Come on, let's check it out.
Well, maybe I can come visit at that point. Because I'm half vaccinated, so come.
Oh wait. Half vaccinated. What went through my mind was like this. Okay, ready? The needle goes in halfway. And you went away. We didn't get it all in. You're only half vaccinated.
Yeah. But as soon as I found out, I got the appointment for the second booster or whatever. I just booked all the flights. I haven't seen my folks in like 5 years. I haven't seen my brother and my niece in like 3 years. You know, so someone like booking flights. So I've got the travel bug now. So yeah, maybe I can come out and see you. You need to hug on your family. Oh yeah.
You are not promised tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Live every day like it was your last. Seriously, no joke. I'm saying that with all my heart. Live every day. You know, there were times I'm so analytical in my thinking. There were times in New York where I would lay my head down in New York in my apartment, and I would go through my mind and say, did I make a difference today with anybody? Did I make somebody smile or laugh? If I could not think of anybody or no remembrance came to my mind, I would get up, get my clothes on, exit my apartment, go down to the deli and try to make a difference, make a smile, get a laugh, get a chuckle, get something. And then I went, that recharges my battery. And I said, now I can sleep, you know? So
that's something similar with like, you know, music and stuff. Like I think that's how when I tell people, like, that's how I know I wanted. I'm not a producer necessarily. I'm sometimes a performer, but it's really the writing. You know, like I love like sitting at the piano, like making a new melody, come with the chords, writing lyrics and stuff. Because I can do that every day, even if I'm not getting paid. You know, like it refills.
I'm leaning in more. Do you know I got my degree in vocal performance?
No, that's awesome. Okay, well, yeah, now we got to make something together. You know,
I did music theater. I sang off Broadway, and so if you're a writer, maybe I might bring some of those things to life.
Yeah, let's do something.
Can you imagine that, dude?
At this point, I for all the reasons you'd mentioned, you know, like the passion and drive to like go to New York and do acting and stuff. I same with me in LA and everything. I've been here a little over 5 years now, and so I am grateful, but now like I've like not surprised when amazing things. I'm like, wait, what's going on? Like,
right.
It's
That's
insane.
awesome. Hey, just remember when those things come in your life, it's not happenstance. It's not luck. It's not fate. I don't believe in all that stuff. It's uncommon favor that God is showing on you. When that happens to you, find a buddy, find somebody that you know and say, hey man, can I share my brag on God's story? Seriously, when I started doing that, saying those words, God started blessing me more and more.
Yeah. So my friend Bryce asked, you kind of touched on this, maybe you can elaborate a little bit, what the casting call was like for this. I guess you said your agent hit you up about it. And then also like when you got the gig, before showing up, did you know what you had signed up for?
No, like I said, it was one of my first gigs. I was happy to pay rent that month. The casting call was just, hey, you know, this is for some, when they put those things out, they don't really tell you what it's for. But it was either, I thought it was for a show, a TV show or a cartoon or you know, something. But just went in and did it, man. I mean, when your agent says you're booked, go. Yeah. You know, you just go, and then you show up. And seriously, what you see in the sides that your agent gives you, the director can change it on the fly right there.
Oh, I know. I even though I'm not like an actor, I'm in LA, so I get pulled to do that stuff every once in a while. And I had to like learn to let go of expectation, you know. Right. Now the only thing I ask is like, do I need to bring clothes to get dirty in? Outside of that, I can be ready. I'm just mentally preparing. Like I might be on camera, I might be going through the mud, you know. Like it just hit me, even though it was a little while ago. Did you say Oprah did a piece on you?
I think it was an Oprah thing of where are they now?
We should petition her now to follow up. Movie's coming out in less than a month. Find out where he is now.
We need to make sure IMDb lets me put those credits on my page, dadgummit.
Yeah. We got anybody from IMDb watching? Let them edit.
Come on, seriously. I'm the real thing, all right?
Cool. Is there anything else
we need to hang out? Seriously, like I said, come to Texas, brother.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you ever been here?
Oh yeah, I've been there, but mainly the big cities because of the music stuff. Is there anything else you'd like to, any stories you'd like to tell, any questions I might missed or gaps in the story or anything like that?
No, I think that we just probably need to have another meeting and we'll go into some really wild stuff. I will change the names of those actors to protect the non-innocent.
Well, thanks so much for sharing your story. I can't wait to come visit you and follow up. And just for all the Mortal Kombat fans to finally put a face to the voice they've heard for decades now.
Right. I look totally different than that, you know. This is me, and take me or leave me.
But thank you so much for joining me and telling your story. It's been a great time, and you've been great, man.
Thank you, man. It's been an honor. Seriously, after 29 years, and this beast has awakened again.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat!
There it is. That's going to be clipped out and put all over the internet. And be sure to follow Kyle on TikTok. It'll be down below. And then I'm sure we'll have your other socials down there too. Yep. And if anybody from IMDb or Oprah's watching, call him or hit me up and I can call.
Y'all need to get things straight. Seriously, I'm tired of putting in these requests.
Yeah. Aha, there you are. I think my computer freaked out because like a hard drive disconnected. I don't know what happened.
Like I said, you were like, well, like. It's like Mortal Kombat.
Been creating a TikTok dance.